What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Lines podcast. I am your host, Shania Trotter, and today we are going to talk about My Hero Academia. So, today I'm going to be answering some questions that you guys have left me in my TikTok comments. Moving forward, whatever platform you're listening to this to, whether it's on Spotify or on YouTube, you guys can just leave comments there, and I can go ahead and pick and choose which questions I'll be using for the next videos. So I want to start us off with talking about Deku and Bakugo, but I want everybody to understand I am not fully caught up to the anime. Okay, so I just started season 5 this week, so bear with me. I'm not gonna know everything, so I'm only talking from what I know so far. But there was this comment, so it's not necessarily a question, but there was a comment that had said, Bakugo is lucky, but Midoriya is deserving, right? And I think they were basically talking about their quirks, right? And what I want to say is this. I want to say that Bakugo is lucky when it comes to him being born with such a powerful quirk, but I will not say that everything that Bakugo is up until season 5 is luck, because he's actually very smart. He's actually extremely calculated and strategic, and he's worked hard to really, perfect his quirk, I'll say. So it would be a shame to just chalk all that up to luck, because that's not true. It'll be different if like we see somebody with such a strong quirk but they just don't know what to do with it. That's not Bakugo. Bakugo knows exactly what to do. He knows exactly how to maximize his quirk, and that took, time. That takes skill. That's one of the reasons why Deku looked up to Bakugo as well, because not only was his quirk strong, but he knows what to do with it, and he keeps, getting stronger and stronger because again, he is strategic. It's not just like, he's just doing shit just to do it. Now, what I will say is I didn't like how, Bakugo, once he started, understanding that, oh shit, my quirk is pretty powerful, he let that shit get to his head. Mind you, he's a kid, I get it. But then he started becoming a bully. And I was just like, okay, now, hold on, we losing the plot here. But yeah, I saw that comment. I just kind of want to clear that up because I'm just like, Bakugo's not just lucky though. He actually does work a lot on bettering himself. It's just his priorities be a little fucked up for me. Like, that's all that be. Because Bakugo thinks being the best, like All Might, is just being the strongest. And the thing is, when we talk about being a true hero, and this is why I do love Deku Down, that's my child. Because, and the thing is to understand, I love Bakugo too. I do. I do. You gotta have a soft space there for him, because it's like, I just know, I'm already seeing it, that the character development is about to be chef's kiss, because how he was acting in season 1 was just not sustainable. It just is what it is. It's just not sustainable. You can't be acting like that the whole time. And it reminds me of like Zuko a little bit from Avatar The Last Airbender. You can't be acting like that the whole time. Absolutely not. Something was going to have to give, honey. And when it happens, it's beautiful. That character development is lovely. And so where I am right now, like season 5, as we know, Bakugo, he knows about the one for all, and at this point it's become less of like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. Instead, it's more of like, hurry up and master one for all so I can beat your ass. It's more of a healthy rivalry. It's better than how it was in the first season, child, so I'll take it. Growth is growth, but I just know it's going to get better. And I love the fact that we're breaking the cycle, because we're going to talk about Endeavor a little later, but literally, if they didn't break that cycle, and if All Might didn't really let Bakugo in on the secret, it literally would have been the same cycle with Bakugo growing up, probably being the number 2 hero if it wasn't Shoto, and not understanding why he didn't get it, not understanding how he could be so powerful but still not be the number 1 hero. And he would just be so miserable, and if he ended up having a family, he would end up treating them like trash, just like Endeavor, and just being miserable, and everybody being miserable. Like, it just would have been a vicious cycle. But anyway, back to what I was saying, where Bakugo thought that or how to become the number 1 hero was just becoming the strongest, right? Where it just comes to how strong your quirk is, how strong you are, like if you can win a battle, if you can beat your competitor. But little does he know, and even I feel like Endeavor didn't understand this either. Little does he know, what made All Might the best hero wasn't just his quirk. It wasn't, because people have strong quirks all the time. And yes, one for all is different. One for all is different, but it took you having the heart of a hero. And this is why I love Deku, because even without a quirk, he had the heart of a hero, just like All Might. Just like All Might didn't have a quirk and he had the heart of a hero. He wanted to create a better place for people so that they could feel safe, and he wanted to save people. Deku thinks saving people is cool. That, I mean, even if it's like sacrificing himself, he's gonna go and save somebody, quirk or not. And so that is what it takes to be a hero. And we see time and time again, even when they're doing these drills, even in the movies, even when they're doing these practice battles and stuff like that for school. For example, like Kaminari, I think it was an OVA. I think it was after season 4. There were 2 OVA episodes. Now I don't know if it's canon or not, but I'm just saying we have Kaminari, the one that has electricity. And he was just like, I'm not risking my life for no dummy in a practice match or some shit. And I was like, Kaminari, because he said that like multiple times. And he was like, come on, guys, like, why are y'all going so hard? And it's like, okay, Kaminari, look, listen here. You do know what you're going to school for, right? So you ain't gonna put your line on the like. And this is the thing. He should know that they're not gonna let them die in this little practice course shit. Like, even if y'all get hurt, what's that little old lady that be kissing people to heal them? She's just gonna give you a little kiss and you're gonna be good. But it's like, if you can't even do that now when you know for sure you're gonna get healed later, and you can't even do that now when you know for sure you got teachers that's gonna help you and you're not gonna die up in here, what are you finna do when it's a real person and you do actually have to risk your life? Understand, this is what you're going to school for. You're going to school for something where you're going to have to put your life at risk. So if you're not even doing it now, knowing that you're going to be good later, I don't know what the fuck we doing. What are you doing for real? But yeah, like, Deku already had that down packed. That's the thing. He just needed better. Like, he needs to understand how to, really make one for all his own. But also, he got better even with strategy. He was good with strategy even in the beginning because he was studying people. That's another thing. Study the greats. Deku knew to study the greats, and he was very humble about it, understanding that he can't do this all on his own. He doesn't try to recreate the wheel, right? He's gonna go off the blueprint already. Okay, cool. I've seen this hero do this. I've seen this hero do that. I'm gonna come up with a strategy immediately. And I think everybody, you literally see Deku be the one with strategy very early on, and you see, even if Bakugo be trying to say, like, oh, that damn nerd, like, I don't like you, this, that, and third, whatever the case is, get out my face. He be learning from Deku too. And this is why it's so important to, be around your classmates. You can't just do this by yourself. You can only learn so much by yourself. You have to be able to bounce ideas off of people and view people and learn from them. Because just like how Deku was learning from Bakugo and everybody else, Bakugo started learning from Deku too. He started picking up some stuff too, whether he admits it or not. But yeah, like I said, like, again, it takes more than just a quirk to be a hero. And before quirks were even a thing, there were still people who were considered heroes before that. That's why I was like, when in the beginning, when he was just like, Mom, do you think I could be a hero too? And the mom, and I felt bad because, his mom's not a bad mom. If the idea of being a hero means, for the society at the time, means that, oh no, you have to have a quirk, that's the only way you can be a hero, then that means the mom's also thinking that way. So when he asks her, do you think I could be a hero like All Might? Deku isn't talking about having a quirk necessarily. He's just talking about, do you think I could save people like All Might? Do you think I can, like, help contribute to making the society a safe space for other people? Like, that's what he meant. And in that moment, he did need his mom to be like, yes, honey, you could do whatever you put your mind to, this, that, and the third. And I know some people were like, well, we shouldn't be giving kids false hope. And I'm like, well, just imagine if somebody didn't give All Might hope. There would be no All Might, because he was quirkless too. Like, for one. For two, there are all different types of ways that you can be a hero. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, come on now. We're kind of losing. We're losing it. We don't want people to be so reliant on quirks and stuff like that and special abilities to where we think that we cannot be a hero if we do not have a quirk. So therefore, I'm not going to even do anything heroic at all. We losing the plot there. But I do understand that, everything's a social construct. So this is the social construct that only people with quirks can be heroes. But on the opposite end, that also means that people without quirks feels that they cannot be heroes, or that they shouldn't even be looked at to do something heroic. Like, I remember in the very first episode, people were like, where's all the heroes? Shouldn't somebody do something? So what that told me was a couple things, right? One, of course, the average human being with or without a quirk, when there are superheroes around that have these quirks that they use to save people, of course, when you see a monster or a villain, your first thought usually isn't, or at least for the masses, usually isn't to jump into action and save somebody or save the victim, because you're depending on those people who do this for a living, right? But what this also tells me is that because we have people who get paid to do this for a living, and they have different types of quirks that can be better suited for saving people, that the majority of the society have become dependent, right? And it sucks because that is like that's kind of like a byproduct of the world that All Might wanted to create. He said he wants to create a place where, people could feel safe. And that ultimately means that they don't have to really worry about stuff because he's going to be here. No reason to fear, I'm here, or whatever you be saying. Like, but what happens when you're not there? And you can't be everywhere at once. And even so, it's like, okay, nothing to fear because All Might is here. Nothing to fear because the heroes are here. We don't have anything to fear. We should always be able to depend on the heroes, right? But it kind of reminds me of, like, if you guys ever seen The Incredibles 2, where that guy's sister, she ended up being the villain. Hopefully y'all saw Incredibles 2. It's been out, so sorry to spoil if you haven't seen it. But she low-key was making sense a little bit because her father, her and her brother's father, basically, there were some intruders that broke into their house, and instead of calling the police, the father called the heroes. But at that point, the heroes were, the law was like, kind of banning heroes from, being able to be heroes and saving people. And there was a lot of lore in The Incredibles 2 and in The Incredibles that, also contribute to them not showing up when he calls. And so because of that, the father dies. And then later on, the mother dies. They say, from heartbreak or whatever the case is. And at the same I don't agree with the villain in Incredibles 2 about like just trying to take out all the heroes and this, that, and the third. But I will say a good villain always can make a point, though. They always have some type of point in there where you'd be like, I mean, shit, that is kind of right. To the point where I understood where she was coming from, where she was like, you guys are becoming way too dependent. Like she was just saying, like there should have been no reason that my father didn't call 911. Because at the end of the day, regular people, and I say regular in the sense of, people without quirks and things like that, or without powers, they can be heroic too. They can be heroes too. Before we even dealt with people who had powers, this, that, and the third, or quirks, this, that, and the third, they were our heroes, whether they were firefighters and police officers and surgeons and doctors and this, that, and the third, nurses, whatever the case is, those were the heroes. But I do also understand what being kids and stuff like that, you're not thinking about that. That isn't your time. So it's there's always pros and cons to stuff. But with that being said, going back to Deku's mom, it wasn't that she was a bad mom, like, oh, she was just a bad mom, she didn't believe in him. But it was just the fact that this was the collective consciousness of the society, that you could not be a hero without a heroic quirk. And so I really did I admired Deku for still, even after not getting that support from your mom, because we don't know where the hell his dad is. He might not be no longer here on Earth, honey. I don't know. But that's your only person that you really have, or that we see him having so far in the anime. And it's like, okay, even without that support, he still was taking all his notes, studying the greats, still in hopes of being a hero. And then I just couldn't imagine how broken he felt when he heard All Might himself say that, yeah, no, you find something safe to do. Like, find something more realistic. And even then, running in to save Bakugo anyway, it was basically a suicide mission. He didn't know if he was going to be able to survive that or not. But that was the point. He just started moving because he knew he had to do something. And I was like, damn, he was more of a hero than anybody there at the time. Because you got All Might. He's like, damn, I'm at my limit. Go plus ultra. Shit. It shouldn't even have to take Deku to go up in there for you to go plus ultra. If we being real. But then you got other heroes up in there just gonna let Bakugo die over time, because Bakugo was on his way out. If you saw that face that he made, he was on his way out, and he looked scared. He dead ass looks scared, and rightfully so. But you got other heroes, trying to keep everything at bay, but they're saying, I have to wait on another hero whose quirk is better suited for this. And I get that to a certain extent, but at the same time, I'm just like, damn, all these heroes and some of their quirks aren't suited for this, yes. But at the same time, this kid was about to die here. This kid was about to die here with all these heroes around because they're waiting. Ultimately, they waiting on All Might. And that is why low key I'm just like, damn, I can kind of see what these villains are talking about just a little bit. But other than that, I still can't condone what y'all doing though. Like, you guys are dead wrong. This is not how to get your point across. So going back to Deku, I just love the fact that, like, when they say, Bakugo is lucky, but Deku is deserving. Bakugo's lucky for being born with a strong quirk. Yes, I will say that. But, okay, it's not just luck. It is very much skill. And he does have the intellect. You gotta remember, Bakugo is like at the top of his class. Like, he's one of the top of his class. I don't think he's at the very top. I forget who's at the very top when it comes to test scores. I believe Ida, Momo, Bakugo, and then I think it's Deku, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But I just feel like those are like the top scores in the class. So Bakugo's not dumb. So it's also intellect as well. He's just a sourpuss. That's what that is. He really is. He got a big ass chip on his shoulder. But if that wasn't so overbearing, I think people would really be able to see he's very talented, actually. And he actually is very deserving of his spot at UA and just his ranking. Even at the sports festival, like, he's very deserving of his spot. It's not just luck. But he's just, like I said, he's just a sourpuss, honey. But yeah, I really appreciate the way how Deku, right before our eyes, is changing what it means to be a hero for this society. He's changing the definition. Like I said, everything's a social construct. So it's what society deems as true at the time, right? So in the beginning, we see everybody being like, oh yeah, no, you cannot be a hero without a heroic quirk or without a quirk at all. And we're seeing over time Deku change what that means, because he was very heroic even without the quirk. And even in the beginning, when he couldn't really control the quirk and he had to just do his shit off of strategy. And then he would do maybe a final blow and break his bones when he did it. But he could not rely on that, or else he would break all his bones. So he still had the willpower. He still had the heart. He still had the strategy, the intellect. He still had all these different things. And he would sometimes just put the other person first regardless. And he would lose the match if need be. Like, think about that match that he did with Todoroki. And he helped Todoroki kind of like unlock using his other side, the ice. And he unlocked like that trauma for Todoroki, even if it meant losing the match. So again, that's what I'm saying, just the heart of a hero, even saving Todoroki in that moment. But real quick, since I was talking about, villains and stuff like that, I do want to get to another question somebody had asked, where they were asking, how do I feel about Stain and his ideology? So real quick with Stain, right? And some people say that they wouldn't consider him really a villain. They would, consider him as, what did they say, like an anti-hero, something like that. I don't know. Where I'm at right now, he was like a villain because he was killing people. It just is what it is. But what I will say is he's a prime example of what I'll be talking about when I say a good villain, a well-written villain is able to make a point. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, they not carrying it out in the best way. That's why they a villain. But they can make a solid point, right? To where I do agree that there's a lot of false heroes. Once you start paying people, and this is the thing, because I get it, you putting your life on the line. This is your way of life. You're saving people all day. At some point, yeah, we should compensate you, because you don't have time to work a 9 to 5. You work in a job and there's somebody dying out there, and you could be saving people. So if you dedicate your life to that, people should be compensated. I do believe that. But we see time and time again that some people are doing it for the fame and the fortune, right? The notoriety. And these are the false heroes that Stain is talking about. But Stain, nobody made you God to where it's okay for you to just go around killing people who you consider to be false heroes. Like, hello? And that was my thing with Stain. I'm like, you do make a point when it comes to these false heroes, but now you just become a serial killer and you take it in your hands to kill people who you consider to be false heroes. Like, come on now, be so for real. We're losing the plot. Like, you almost had me in the beginning of like, okay, let's start weeding out these false heroes. I would go about it a different way if I was staying. I'll be like, okay, I feel like these people are for it in for it for the money. They're not really real. If it came down to it, they would probably just leave and save their ass instead of, dedicating their life to being a hero. Like how, that's what you're supposed to do when you become a hero. Like, that's what you, and I say that's what you're supposed to do when you sign up for this shit. You are saying that you're willing to risk your life for society. Okay. Like, that may suck too, because at some point, they gonna have families and stuff too, but that's what you're signing up for. I would instead go around and maybe, I don't know, maybe you could broadcast their fights and stuff like that. And if you see them slipping up to where they let somebody die, or if they choosing not to help somebody because they're not getting paid enough for it or something like that, like make it like a scandal, make it like where you're just like, wow, I thought this person was real, but they actually in it for the money, or they actually weird as hell, or whatever the case is. They could have did something like that. You don't just go around killing people. Who are you? Who are you to be killing people? Who made you king to do that? And then at that point, who are you to be telling anybody anything? Okay, you're talking about false heroes. You're a serial killer. So now what? And even though he's like, well, I'm not claiming to be a hero. Okay, but you're a serial killer. Like, we can't talk to you. Why would I listen to you? Like, you're a false hero. You don't deserve to live. No, absolutely not. I would have instead, again, you're a false hero. Like, you full of shit. Okay, cool. We gonna do something to where we expose you. We expose you. We, on a certain platform. Like, he literally could have had like a fucking a social media page where he's like anonymous or some shit, or he can even show himself, I don't know, but like he's showing how and what ways these people are maybe exploiting others, or they're just playing and just using their hero name for the money. I don't know, do something like that. I would have got behind that a little bit more. So that's how I feel about Stain. I also think just his aura, you when he was just like, come at me, and even Endeavor was like, ooh, I'm staying my ass right here. It reminded me of Bakugo. It did. Just how intense he could be. Think about those first couple of seasons. How Bakugo would literally just be like, die, die, die. I'm gonna kill you. And I was just like, bro, it's a thin line, okay? And one thing about it too, with some of these villains, some of them wanted to go to UA. At some point, somebody hurt their damn feelings. And it reminds me of The Incredibles, like, where it's just like, it could be a thin line where this person wanted to be a hero at first. They get their little feelings hurt in some way, shape, or form, and they get denied, they get rejected, whatever the case is. And I'm not saying this is the case for everybody, but I'm just saying they get denied, they get rejected, whatever the case is, and now they're going to be like the worst villain ever. Or I'll say the best villain ever. Like, what the fuck? What? Like, this is classic syndrome from Incredibles. You turned me down, you rejected me, you hurt my little boy feelings, and I'm gonna go and become like the best villain ever and start killing all your friends. I'm gonna kill every hero. I'm gonna kill almost every hero. That's what I'm gonna do. What? Are you kidding me? All that brain power, all that knowledge, all that privilege, and that's what you choose to do? Insane. But what I will say is that I like Stain as a villain more than I like Shigaraki. As of right now, it's season 5. I will say I've seen him grow a little bit more as a villain, but he still be acting like a toddler, and I don't like that. And his whole thing is just like, okay, I hate All Might. Again, I'm on season 5. In the beginning of season 5, I think I'm only like a couple episodes in, maybe like 4 episodes in. I'm actually where they're doing those tests against Class B, which I'm actually pretty impressed with Class B. And I'm actually impressed with Class A too. Just, they all grown and they have great teamwork. And I just recently saw the movie, not Two Heroes, but Heroes Rising. Oh my gosh, Class 1A's teamwork was magnificent. But one thing that I was mad about too, just real quick on that movie, why the hell y'all let them go on that island without no supervision? The hell was that? Like, what are we doing? No, for real. And this is why I say, like, why was none of the other parents mad or like pressed or like, said no to those damn dorms? The only one is Deku's mom? For real? Is that the only parent that's actually worried about their child? You got the League of Villains after your children, and they ask you, oh yeah, we're gonna put them in dorms, like, you okay with that? And everybody's like, oh yeah, 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 just go ahead and, absolutely fucking not. Deku's mom the only one with some damn sense? Huh? And I'm not saying that, again, they're purposely trying to push their kids out and just put them in dangerous way, but it's just like, y'all don't care about your kids' lives. I would put up some type of fight. And it's just sad to be like, oh, like, even though you said no, I already done gave him my power, so it really don't matter what you say, because he's gonna he's going to be my predecessor anyway, so it kind of don't matter that you said no. That was actually fucked up. I was like, damn, all this happening right under your nose. That's just crazy. And at the same time, how can you say no to that? Because it's like, well, the shit's gonna happen anyway. Shit's already been going on before you even knew anyway, so it's just like, damn. And on top of that, it's like, that's like as if like All Might's parents was just like, no, we're not gonna let you do this, that, and the third, and then All Might wouldn't be All Might. So it was just a lot of pressure on her. But I'm just like, how dare y'all? And that was my thing. So first of all, they did magnificent in that movie. They had such great teamwork. And also when Deku gave Bakugo the one for all, child, that I had goosebumps, literal goosebumps, bro. And I'm low-key mad that Bakugo don't even remember the shit. You don't remember that we was doing this shit together, bro? That was the best time I've ever seen them work together like that. That gave me goosebumps. One thing about My Hero, they know how to make a motherfucking movie. They really do. I've only seen two. I've only seen the first two. So the two heroes, when Deku and All Might was fighting together, and I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then the second one, Heroes Rising, where Bakugo and Deku was duking it out together, and I was like, oh my god, this is so freaking cool. But yeah, I was just like, as a parent, I've been like, oh hell no, y'all gonna have my kids on this motherfucking island all by themselves? Just imagine the League of Villains pulled up. Who's supervising? At least Erasure Head should have been there. At least him. But yeah, the thing is with Shigaraki is just like, I will say this. The way how Shigaraki got his get back on Overhaul, I was here for that. I was actually here for that, because Overhaul was very smug. And I did like that after all that shit, he was like, you know what? For somebody who's so worried about taking people's quirks, why the hell you still got one? Snatch. That was cold. That was cold-blooded. That was villain coded for sure. I was like, okay, that was cool. He thought you was playing checkers. You was really playing chess, and you got his ass. Simple. I like that. I'm here for that. As a villain, you did that. But then he went right back to being the Tyler. He said, I hate you. I hate you so much. I'm like, Shigaraki, why you got so much hate in your heart? What that child went through, I need to know. I know he went through something, because he looked tore up. So he had to go through something. And I want to know Dobby backstory too, because he had it. And y'all better not spoil nothing. Don't spoil nothing in these comics. You bet not. But I want to know what Dobby went through, because he looked tore up too. Looked like little Frankenstein child. But he got those blue flames. I'm like, okay now. And then he was trying to have a conversation with Endeavor, and I'm like, okay now. And then I also heard Endeavor talking about they had an oldest son. Something happened to that oldest son. So I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Don't spoil it though. I'm so for real. I have blocked people from spoiling shit for me on TikTok, because because some people be so loud and proud with it. Like they like, oh, I'm gonna spoil this shit. Okay. That'll be your last time. That'll be your last time. But yeah, I like Stain more than I like Shigaraki so far. But some people are like, oh, just wait till you see his backstory. There's a reason why he doesn't like All Might. No. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. I mean, I still feel like my take will stand, though, that, again, he's just not doing it for me as a villain. He can have a sad backstory, but that's still not taking away the fact of, like, him not having, like, I just don't care for what he stands for. Like, I just want to, crack the image of a peaceful world where you don't have to worry about anything that All Might has created. He just wants to undo what All Might has created. And I'm just kind of like, I need more than that. I'm sorry. You just want to cause chaos. For what? I need more. Yeah, like for me, that gets old. You just want to cause chaos. You just want to undo what this hero did because you hate them. Okay. He don't even get much respect from me too, because he don't even be on the front lines. At least so far. Season 5, you still don't be on the front lines. That one dude that's like that portal dude, and he's purple and black and stuff, he be like, so you're not gonna go down there and fight? Shigaraki be like, no. Like, I can't respect that. It's only so much so far I can respect if you not down there putting your life on the line for your cause. You just keep letting all these nomus do your fight for you. All right, so next question was, how do I feel about Endeavor? Remember, y'all, I have only watched until season 5, probably maybe episode 3 or 4. So where I'm at right now with Endeavor, he did have that bomb episode where he went against that Nomu and he put his life on the line. He did. I will say that. So his favor with society has gone up. But something with Endeavor that I'm seeing is that he seems like he wants to turn over a new leaf, and he seems like he wants to make amends with his family. Now, my thing is this, especially when it comes to Todoroki, like Shoto, I think he's expecting Shoto to like respond to that quicker than what he should be expecting it. Like, this is not something that happens overnight. When we talk about, I don't even know if the word is redemption, like a redemption arc. I don't think that's even the word. Maybe, is it repentance? Like, is somebody trying to repent for their sins or what they did? When it comes to that journey, you have to just do it because you genuinely want to do it, and you have to do it without even expecting anything in return. Your kids, after you treat them like trash and you abuse them and you abuse their mom, this, that, and the third, you have to be okay with the fact that they may hate you forever, and that you may never be able to fix the harm that you've done, and you can never take it back, and it has changed them forever. So if you're going to do stuff, you just do it. Just do it. Don't even say it, just do it. I mean, saying it's cool, but I need you to just do it, and it needs to be continuous, and it needs to be selfless without thinking that anybody's going to care or congratulate you for it or anything. That's what I need to see from him. I do wish we would have gotten this version of him sooner. I mean, preferably, it'll be nice if you never abuse your kids and your wife anyway, but like in the first place. But if you were going to do this shift and this change and this rebrand and you're turning over this new leaf, it would have been nice to see you do it genuinely before All Might retired, because I do see that, you know, he's trying to have this change of heart now that he's considered the number one hero, and people are expecting more from him, but people don't like him because he's not All Might and he's not as friendly and, you know, charismatic. And so then, you know, he goes to All Might and he's just like, you know, how, like, I'm like, what do I do? And how do I do that? Like, I'm technically the number one hero, even though he got it in a way he didn't want to get it by default. But he's asking him, like, you know, how should I go about things? And All Might's the one who's like, you know, you have to choose what kind of hero you want to be. And that is when Endeavor was like, you know, I want to mend things with my children and with my family and things like that. Now, one thing too that we do see is that when the kids are talking to the mom, they're like, how do you still defend him? Like, how are you still, you know, talking good about him and all that kind of stuff? And she was saying that, you know, for a long time he's been sending her, I forget how long she says, I don't know if it was for years, I kind of forget, but she was saying he was sending her favorite flowers, and he knew that they were her favorite flowers because she had mentioned it on, what was it, their first date, or like when they were first together years ago. And so she was like, he knows that those are my favorite flowers and he keeps sending them to me so I can see them. And I was just like, I mean, I guess, but and I guess in a way that shows that little by little he was trying in some type of way, but it just wasn't the way how I would have wanted him to be doing it. And again, it would have been nice to see you do this before All Might retired. That would have really shown me like, oh, okay, you really serious. Like, you're like, nothing else changed on the outside. Everything's cool and the same on the outside. You're truly trying to change from the inside out. Even so, because I know I saw some comments about, should Endeavor even be like forgiven or stuff like that. And I feel like, again, I have not seen all the backstory. I am on season 5. So I'm seeing a little bit of like the family dynamic. One of the brothers was just like, I just learned that Shoto's favorite food is something. I forgot what the food was, but he was like, it's just a damn shame that I'm just now finding out this stuff about my brother because you fucked us up. Like, as a family, you really fucked us up, and I don't even know my siblings like that. And I was just like, damn, that does suck. Actually, it does. And these are things, again, that's what I'm saying, like, they're going to be living with this forever. And even from the little flashbacks that I did see, I'm like, Endeavor, you're a big dude, and you was beating them up, like, to the point where he's, Shoto's throwing up and crying and this, that, and third, trying to push them to be able to do these moves or, whatever. They're kids, bro. They're never going to forget that. On top of the fact that I know with Shoto, it sucks too, because ultimately his mom was the one to throw that water on him. Ultimately, his mom was the one to abuse him in that way. Even if it was, because it kind of was given, like, to me, even as a mama, when I saw that scene and she was just on the phone talking about, I can't do this anymore with him, because with Shoto, like, he looks too much like Endeavor. I see him every time I look at his face. I just can't do this anymore. I can't raise him anymore. I don't know if even before that she was, neglecting him because she just couldn't anymore. I don't know. But it's low-key sounded like, on top of being abused by Endeavor and being in an abusive marriage, and also being in this abusive arranged marriage to where he's trying to get as many babies out of you that he can to get that perfect mix, which is Todoroki. And so, again, we don't see this. Well, so far, I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about if there was sexual violence, but just seeing... this is speculation, just seeing how Endeavor is so aggressive in his way of trying to get a successor, because he couldn't be All Might, so therefore his son or his child is going to have to do it. I can see, I can speculate that Endeavor might have been forceful when it came to that too, because the way how she's talking, the mama was talking, it was just like, it didn't even seem like she wanted to have more children. And the fact that it was an arranged marriage for that reason, it could have got violent in that way, to where already she probably was like, I didn't even want to have these children. And I believe Shoto is the youngest, so she was probably like, I didn't even want to have this one. And he looked just like him. Like, it's just, nah, I can't do it. On top of the fact that she probably was going through postpartum as well. Like postpartum depression. That's what it was kind of given. So again, this is speculation. This was not said, but this is just, again, we're reading in between the lines. But it sucks because although, yes, she was abused, she also abused Shoto. But I think for Shoto, he would much rather put the blame on Endeavor. And not saying that Endeavor didn't push her to that point, but it was still her who did it. Because instead of hurting Shoto, she could have tried to hurt Endeavor. Even if that meant you getting beat up or whatever the case is, you could have chosen to hurt Endeavor. Because that's really who you were upset with, right? You were upset with the fact that he reminded you of Endeavor. The child did nothing wrong. But I think it's really sad for Shoto because, it's just easier for him to be like, you drove mom to that point. You made her do this to me. When really, if we're being so for real, Endeavor didn't hold her hand and make her do that. Right? And I think it was just hard for Shoto to be like, both my parents failed me in these ways. And it was just easier to look at the Endeavor and let him be the big bad wolf, and so that he can at least have somebody, and he can at least have one parent to try to connect with and depend on, and then he just put all his hate toward Endeavor. But I was just like, damn, that really sucks for Shoto, because it's like, the other kids seem like they got a different version of their mom, but Shoto, he got that version, and he has a reminder every single day he looks in the mirror. I'm like, damn, that actually sucks. But again, that's something that Endeavor has to live with as well, of like how you treated your family, how you treated your loved ones. And now you're going out and about and you're trying to, get not a popular vote from society, but like, trying to get in favor with society. You need to be worried about your family. You need to be worried about your family. because I couldn't imagine being in Deborah's family and seeing everybody, gush about him in the press, knowing damn well he ain't shit. Behind the scenes, he ain't shit. Like, yes, he's just now trying to be good with his family, but it's just like, where was all of this years ago? Where was all of this our entire lives? So I can only imagine the anger that the kids feel. I know the sister, she's trying to, get everybody together, and I get that, but it's just like, you can't blame the other siblings for not fucking with him still. It just is what it is. But also still having mixed feelings, because again, even when Todoroki, when he saw his father going up against that Nomu, and he was just like, nah, you can't lose, bro. Like, we're rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. You can't lose. And even when he saw at the end that his dad did win, he fell to his knees. Like, I was like, damn, I love the complexity, because it's like, that's still his dad. That's still his dad. On top of the fact that he's the number one hero right now. And what is that gonna say? So I was just like, damn, this is deep. this is deep. Another question I was asked was, if Deku wasn't chosen for One for All, did I think that Bakugo would have been chosen? Now, we know from the anime that what was his name? Mirio, I said Mirio kind of remind me of Mario. Mario. Okay. Mirio Mirio was actually supposed to get off One for All. And it was just the fact that All Might met Deku first, and he saw how Deku risked his life, and that fired him up to go plus ultra and do something that he never really did before. So I feel like it wasn't going to be Bakugo. It was probably going to be Mirio. But if we're talking about, okay, let's say if Mirio wasn't, a thing and all that kind of stuff, would All Might have chosen Bakugo? No. And I say no because, again, like I said before, Bakugo's priorities messed up. Like, no. He's got the talent. He's got the skill. He just don't have the heart of a hero. And I'm not going to lie. Season 1 Bakugo, even Season 2 Bakugo, he looked like he was low-key going to be more of a villain. There's a reason why the League of Villains, kidnapped his ass. Because they're like, oh yeah, we saw how you was acting. You was showing your whole ass at that sports festival. Absolutely, we're going to try to kidnap your ass and make you a part of our shit. They not going to just do that to somebody who actually got the heart of a hero. They're doing that to somebody who is on the cusp. Or they think that he's on the cusp. They don't really know Bakugo. That's the thing. But from the outside, yeah, he was acting like a damn villain at that point. Again, just had to win, but not only win, he wanted to crush you. He wanted to kill you. Like not actually kill you, yes. But like, again, he was just not acting like a hero in the slightest. Showing his entire ass. So I can understand the villains being like, oh yeah, we need him on our team. And if the villains could even think that you would be like that, no, you do not need One for All. At all. And that's even proven too. I don't know. I feel like the movies are canon, but that's even proven too in the Heroes Rising movie, where Deku fully knew that he could lose One for All, and he still passed it on to Bakugo so that they could defeat basically All for One 2.0. And yeah, after they did, everything was said and done, One for All was like, yeah, no, we're going back. We know where home is. We're not going with Bakugo, because he's not even ready for that. And on top of that, that was a very heroic thing for Deku to even do in the first place. Knowing that you're going to lose his power and then you're going to go back to being quirkless, but you are risking that and your life to save others. Oh yeah, we're right where we need to be. We will be with him temporarily, but we coming right on back, because absolutely, that's exactly who this power deserves to be with. So that's what I'm saying. I do agree with, Deku is deserving for sure. But it's just like, again, we're seeing that character development happen now with Bakugo because he was left out, because he wasn't considered, and then he had to see, well, why was Deku considered? Because he just thinks of him as a weakling, or at least he used to just think of him as a weakling. And I'm glad that it took All Might to just kind of break that down for him, that it's not about that. It's not just about that. Like, you're very talented, but you don't have the heart yet. You gonna get there. Don't worry about it. You gonna get there. You gonna understand at some point, but you just don't have it right now. You think that Bakugo would have the growth that he's having now if he was given one for all? Absolutely not. He probably would have been a damn villain. If we being real. So no, I do not think that he would have gotten chosen. And rightfully so, because like I said, we would not have seen the growth. I don't even think he would be able to really be his true and best self if he would have been given that power. He already has a strong power. He don't need that. What I will say though, this hasn't been really said in the anime, but me and my friend was kind of talking about this, is that, and I didn't know this at first, so me talking about this with him, I think he kind of like gave it away. But what I was kind of saying is that, you know, at some point, I think we do need to have people who have quirks get all for or one for all. And he kind of confirmed it. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I was just like, I didn't know that you can add to the power. But it makes sense. Of course you can add to the power. But if people who are quirkless keep getting the power, then they're not going to be adding to the power anymore. Because that's one thing I will say about with Mirio. It actually would have been dope if Mirio got one for all. Just imagine with his power already. Well, right now he don't got a power. He got his shit stolen. But I think he's going to get it back. And it just would have been dope. Like, he really would have been low-key unstoppable. If not high-key unstoppable. If he would have had one for all. And then just imagine the next person after that would have had one for all. And they would have been able to do what Mirio does. That's crazy. This is why, I'm not going to lie, this is why we need people to get one for all that has quirks. But at the end of the day, I do like how they're doing it, where it's like, okay, we need the person who we can really trust with it, whether they are quirkless or not. But I will say it would be cool to see, you know, more quirks added to one for all. I think that would be really dope. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now in My Hero. Let me know what else y'all want me to talk about. I feel like the thing is, I really do want to keep y'all updated, like, you know, on TikTok and YouTube about me watching this show, because I've been binging. I'm not gonna lie. Like, at first I was keeping y'all updated on what I thought about every episode, but then it was just getting a little too good. It was getting a little too good to where I was just like, okay, I don't even have time to make this video. I'm just pressing play. And so there's so many things that I want to comment on and that have happened to where I'm like, damn, I'm gonna end up rewatching this whole shit over. Like, a part of me, even right now at season 5, low-key wants to just start over right now. It's just so that I could really take my time and weave through each episode and just give my commentary. But then another part of me wants to go ahead and just make YouTube reactions. But I'm like, I know that I'm not going to want to do that with every episode. So I don't know. We'll see. A part of me also wants to read the manga, because then I could really break down manga panel by manga panel. You know how I like to do with Nana and stuff like that. So I'm like, decisions. But I'm going to try to keep going. And then I'm going to try to keep going, because I think the last season is popping up in October, so that's literally next month. So I'm trying to get caught up so I could be ready for that, and then I think I'm gonna start all over, and we just gonna deep dive into everything, because I can see now why, you know, My Hero fans be going hard, because it's like, I remember when I first watched this back in I think I watched the first 2 seasons back in high school, or my last year of high school, or I think it was right after my last year of high school. I forget. But point of the matter is, it was hype. I'm not gonna lie. I had the little keychain. I got some shirts. You know, I was a My Hero fan for sure. But then everybody was talking about how the 4th season wasn't good, and so I just kind of put it down and didn't get back to it, because I was like, oh, they're saying that it's not good. And what I will say about that real quick, since I have seen it, the 4th season isn't terrible. It's just not as hype as the first 3 seasons. That's what it was. So I think it was just a change of pace, and then also somebody dies, and I think it was just kind of like I'm not gonna lie, I feel like getting rid of what was his name, Night Eye, or was it Midnight something, I forget. Y'all know who it was. I just kind of feel like that was a waste. He could see into the future. Why are we killing him off? And the fact that he was All Might's sidekick, I was like, oh, that was very convenient. All Might and somebody, his sidekick, somebody who's seeing into the future? Are you kidding me? But yeah, I just kind of thought that was a waste. I was just like, y'all, we could have used him. I'm sorry. We could have used him. I really wanted to see him and All Might really reconcile, like, without him being on his deathbed. You know what I mean? I would have liked to see more of his soft side. I don't know. It just didn't seem like that needed to happen. So I could definitely understand why people were not really fucking with season 4. I don't know. It was just kind of like, It felt like they lost a lot in season 4. You got Mario and his powers gone. They killed off Night Eye. I mean, I guess those are two things, but it just, you feel me? It was just kind of like dragged out, and it also felt like they lost too when they had the chance to get the girl Eri, and but they had to let her go, and then we find out that fucking Overhaul's doing all this crazy shit to her, taking her apart, putting her back together, doing this, doing that. Oh God! So yeah, it does feel like you lost a lot. So that whole first half of the damn season, you feel like you're losing. And then at the end, everything comes together at the very end, but then you still lost somebody. And that was the first real death of the anime, actually, on our side at least. So I was like, damn, okay, I can kind of see how people wasn't really fucking with this season. That's how the season ends. I don't like that. But it's realistic. It is. Some people do have to go. But I can see, I kind of was thinking that My Hero was kind of going to be like one of those shows where people don't die. So I think that was kind of like a rude awakening where it's just like, damn. It kind of reminds me of like One Piece where it's just like, okay, so y'all got a hella plot armor up in here. Okay. Even though some people I did want to just go, like, I'd be like, what are you still doing here? And it's funny because when I first was watching, I was like, Buggy, what are you doing here? Like, Buggy the Clown, what are you doing here? But then over time you low-key like Buggy. So you're like, okay, I guess. But then I'm not gonna say who, I'm just gonna say yeah, but then people actually do start dying, and you're like, and not even people for real, at least where I'm at, really it was just one person that, again, you didn't want them to go, and you did so much motherfucking work to make sure that they didn't go, and they went anyway. Then later on you find out people who you thought was dead and not really dead. I'm like, okay, so y'all pissing me off because y'all have major plot armor for people over here. So I'm thinking that nobody gonna die for real. Then we do all this work to keep this person alive, and then they die anyway. Then this person that we thought did die is not dead. Make up your minds, because y'all pissing me off. So yeah, I just think that rubbed people the wrong way. But season 4 isn't terrible. So anyway, starting season 5 this week. I'll keep y'all posted. But yeah, I honestly could talk about this show all day. That's why I need y'all to give more questions, and we gonna go from there. But thank you for joining me on the Between the Lines podcast. Again, I'm your host, Shania Trotter, and I will see y'all next week.